Welcome to the Harris County Democratic Party candidate forum that we are doing tonight with all of our wonderful Senate district chairs. We have put a lot of effort into making sure that you get to hear from the candidates that are running for Harris County Department of Education and for Harris County Clerk. So my name is Lily Schechter. I'm chair of the Harris County Democratic Party. We wanted to thank you for joining us today so you can hear from these wonderful candidates. Our team has worked really hard to make sure that tonight's program flows easily and you'll get to hear from all the candidates. I want to give a special shout out to all the Senate district chairs who really put all the work and energy into making tonight wonderful. Philip McNutt, Yolanda Alvarado, Angela Williams, Don Hill, Paula Bowden, Jonathan Miller, Aliza Garretts, and Dwight Ford are the Senate district chairs that made tonight possible. We did this event today so that we could make sure you hear from the candidates before you get to pick the candidates that are going to be on the ballot in November. On August 15th, at our next County Executive Committee meeting, all of the elected precinct chairs need to show up. We have to have a 50% quorum. We need all elected precinct chairs to attend the meeting so that you can vote on who is going to be our Democratic nominee for Harris County Clerk and for Harris County Department of Education. Jaime Rodriguez is going to be our moderator tonight. But before I turn it over to Jaime, I want to do a quick plug for the Harris County Democratic Party. Please make sure that you are signed up on our website at harrisdemocrats.com to receive all of our email alerts so you know every activity that we're doing here at the county party. All of our energy is focused on making sure that we sweep up and down the ballot in November, that we elect every Democrat in every position in November so that we can tell Republicans, Trump, Abbott, and all of them that we do not stand with them and that we do not believe in what they're doing to our country right now. So please join us at harrisdemocrats.com to make sure that you're getting our newsletter so you know all of the activities that we're doing to get out the vote this November. We would love for you to be a sustaining member of the party, to make a donation, to volunteer, to make phone calls with us, to send texts with us. Please join us at harrisdemocrats.com. And now I'm going to turn it over to Jaime Rodriguez, who is the moderator of tonight's program.
Howdy, Lily. Thank you so much for having the Senate District invite me, and kudos to you for all the hard work that is coming down the pipeline and that you've been doing for the last few years. We were talking behind the scenes right now with the candidates and saying, you know, in 2016, the Harris County Department of Education went to kind of more to the Republicans. But in 2018, we start to see the Democratic Party swelling in Harris County and making a real viable plan for winning. 2020 is our year. I think you're going to meet tonight the candidate who is going to be elected in November. And that's going to be up to all of you, not just the precinct chairs, but everybody in November is going to be needed for that effort. You know, you're going to see tonight, interesting, two different offices. One is for the county clerk, and that's the debate that I will be moderating for the first half hour or so. We have one candidate who is announced right now, so we're going to have more of a conversation than a debate with her. And then after that, we'll have Sherry Matula join us as the moderator for the Harris County Department of Education debate, where we have 3 announced candidates. So stick around. It's a 2-hour block of time, but it's going to be well worth your time. Remember, if you are a precinct chair, then you will be voting on August 15th at that CEC meeting. It's very important that there's a quorum. If there is no quorum, in other words, if 50% of the precinct chairs do not show up, then the Democratic Party will not have a nominee in both of these positions. So it is very important. You know, one of the biggest tasks that you can do all year as a precinct chair is to show up on August 15th. And you don't have to vote, but you need to show up because we need a quorum. So with that said, let me tell you a little bit about the county clerk position. That's the debate that I'm going to be moderating first. We've had a very interesting year. A couple years ago, Diane Troutman was elected to this position, a wonderful friend to many of us, and did a superb job transforming that office from Stan Stannard's regressive vision of what the county clerk's office could be to a very progressive vision. She did minor things that make big differences. Details matter. She changed what the marriage license looks like so that it's more inclusive. Things like that. And so, and of course, she did big things with the elections process, and we are now the beneficiaries of that. You know, we were able to go to county-wide voting during the primaries, during the early voting, and things like that. I mean, just some wonderful progressive things that have changed. Now, unfortunately, she had to step down. She had some health issues. We all wish her well, and she's doing fine. We all have heard from her, and but unfortunately, she had to step down from the office. So we're having kind of a special election at this point for this office. And the way it works is nominees come forward. They put themselves on the list. August 15th, I think we can even still have nominees from the floor. So just because a nominee did not show up to the debate today does not mean that they can't be a nominee in the future. It's still possible for other people to run for this position on August 15th. This is who we have announced so far, and so this is who we invited to the debates. And so what I'll tell you is there's a second part to this puzzle. The first part of the puzzle is that we're even having this election in the first place. The second part to this puzzle is that on the runoff election day a few weeks ago, we found out that the county commissioner's court has some new plans for the elections office. And it's not a done deal yet, but they are on the path to making it a finalized deal. And let me explain what I mean by that. On that Tuesday, when a lot of us who are in the elections world, from precinct chairs to elections judges and even campaign management people who were out in the field working, we were a little blindsided by it. We didn't see it coming. That day, the county commissioners voted 3-2 along party lines. The Democrats voted for the idea of taking some of the duties away from the county clerk, specifically the elections part of their duties, and taking the voter registration duties away from the county tax assessor, and combining those duties into a brand new office called an elections administrator. Now, on its face, it sounds like something, interesting. A lot of counties have elections administrators, including a lot of large counties in Texas. They have moved to this model. The elections administrator works like this. Instead of being directly elected by the people, they are hired by a group, including the county clerk, the county tax assessor, the county judges, the county judge, the county commissioners, and all of the precinct chairs from the Democratic Party and the precinct chairs from the Republican Party. So that very large group of diverse people get together and hire the elections administrator. So this is a big change from the way things are done right now in Harris County. Remember, in Harris County right now, we vote. We have a general election for who will be the tax assessor, and part of their duty is voter registration. And then we have a separate vote for the county clerk, who part of their duty right now is to administer the elections. So we go from electing two people directly in charge of voter registration and elections to indirectly voting for a elections administrator. So that's the big change that we see coming down the pipeline. And technically what's happened is the county commissioners voted for a 30-day review process where they're going to see how this would work, how this elections administrator office would work. We're within the 30 days right now. If you have opinions, you should call your county commissioner, Rodney Ellis, Adrian Garcia, or County Judge Lina Hidalgo, and your Democratic commissioners, and give your opinion. Tell them what they need to hear from you right now. If it turns out that after the 30-day review process, they want to move forward with this, then they will go ahead and create the elections administrator office. And from there, within the office, they will be reviewing resumes and will want to hire an elections administrator right away, who will not take office. They will not start their job until after the November election. But because they will already have been selected, they will be able to watch from the sidelines how the elections were administered in Harris County in November. And so the thought process right now is to hire someone so that they have time to be there during the 2020 process, and then they will take office afterwards and get ready for all the elections that happen in the next 2 years, going into the governor's race in 2022. So I know that seems like a complicated set of processes, but that's where we're at right now. And so without further ado, I think I've explained enough about what the process is. Let's go ahead and meet our candidate for county clerk. Our Democratic candidate is Tanisha Hudspeth. Tanisha, welcome. How are you?
Good evening. I'm well. Thank you, Harris County Democratic Party, Senate District Chairs, and Precinct Chairs for this opportunity. I am Tanisha Hudspeth, running for Harris County Clerk, and I'm asking for the support of Precinct Chairs August 15th to be your next Democrat nominee for Harris County Clerk this November. I'm a native of Austin, Texas, have spent most of my adult life in Houston, Texas, and I'm a proud graduate of Texas Southern University School of Communications. Currently, I serve as the Chief Deputy, second in command of the County Clerk's Office. As a 15-year member of this office, I have served under 3 administrations and have held a variety of positions, which makes me uniquely qualified for this office and has provided me the experience to serve the public well. Much of my work in the clerk's office focused on providing voters the information, materials, and assistance needed to access the voting process. But my current role as chief deputy supervises the overall operations of the clerk's office to maintain records of commissioners' court, probate courts, and county civil courts. I know that everyone is familiar with the county clerk being the chief election officer. But did you know the county clerk records all the major events of your life? For instance, your birth and death records, one of the biggest occasions in your life, marriage licenses. If you're starting a business, assume names and DBA documents, property deeds and probate deeds. I've not just worked in the county clerk's office for 15 years. I've worked in the community for over 20 years, serving on community organization boards such as the Houston Area Urban League, social action chair of my sorority Delta Sigma Theta, board member of the Act One Ensemble Theater, chair of the Fountain of Praise Voter Empowerment, and serve on the leadership team for the Meditu Girls Mentorship Program. Again, I'm Tanisha Hudspeth, running for Harris County Clerk. You can find more information about my campaign at TanishaHudspeth.com, or you can follow me on Facebook at Tanisha Hudspeth for Harris County Clerk, or Twitter for Tanisha for Harris County. Thank you.
Great. And wonderful. You know, Tanisha, this is your first time running for office. I did talk to all of the candidates before this to prepare all of you. I think for all of the candidates tonight, it's their first political debate. And so this is your first debate. And unfortunately, you don't have an opponent, but we'll have a good conversation right now. It's fun. But you did take my advice, which was to tell the audience how to get a hold of you. I mean, they're going to be watching online right now for the next hour and a half, 2 hours. You may as well have your website out there. Tell them one more time your website.
Yes, that is TanishaHudspeth.com. That's TenishaHudspeth.com. You can follow me simply on Facebook at Tanisha Hudspeth for Harris County Clerk, or Twitter, Tanisha for Harris County. Any one of those social media outlets will get you to the website.
Great. Okay. So, you know, before I ask you a lot of questions about the office and you know why it is you're running, let's find out a little bit more about you as a person. I must confess, you're one of the unsung heroes that's behind the scenes. You know, there's countless numbers of us that are behind the scenes that don't always get in front of the camera. Before all of this process, I don't think a lot of us had heard your name before. And in the last month or so, you've really gotten out there, and we're still trying to get your name out there for sure. So let's find out who you are as a person. Tanisha, tell us you were born where, and I know you just kind of gave us a quick overview of where you went to college and all that, but tell us again, give us a little bit about your upbringing. Who are you?
Yes, so I'm a Texan at heart. As I said, I grew up in Austin, Texas, and moved to Houston, Texas in 1999 1999 to attend Texas Southern University, and quickly adopted Houstonian values. My political career started as a Mickey Leland congressional intern in 2003. So I started on Capitol Hill for Congressman Chet Edwards, who was on the Hill at the time, as a communications intern. And what I initially started to major in, which was television news network, it quickly changed after being on the Hill and doing communications for the political frame. After finishing school and finishing out my time in DC, I came back to Houston and learned that there was an opportunity in the county clerk's office. And I didn't know much about the county clerk's office, but one thing that definitely stood out to me was that they ran elections. And elections is a big passion for me. And so the county clerk at the time was Beverly Kaufman, and I was hired as the administrative aide. So assistant administrative aide. But what I did was I was intentional about getting to know the people in the office, how the office ran, what the nuts and bolts were about, which led me to 4 different positions before chief deputy. I served as a public information officer, where I've met a lot of precinct chairs and precinct judges, presiding judges who've worked the process, where I've, conducted trainings and had a lot of interaction in the community with. And so again, the 15 years didn't come just sitting around. It came with getting to know what are the inner workings and why is it important, and the work that we do and how important it is to Harris County. And so that's a little bit of background about me. I'm married. I have a 3-year-old son who'll be 4 soon, who's becoming very bossy and telling me how I should communicate in this campaign. So I'm just excited about the road ahead. I have been on the other side of public service, where I've been the inner workings behind. And so I'm taking this big chance and showing the experience that I have, the knowledge I have, but how I'm prepared to move the office forward and try new ideals to serve our community.
It's a little refreshing to hear that someone from within a particular office wants to head up that office. It's nice to have credentials for the person at the top, right? Someone who actually knows the inner workings of an office. So,
and honestly, once Dr. Troutman, which I have great respect for, decided to step down, it didn't take me long to learn that it was time for me to stand up and give it my best shot.
Well, that's what we need. We need more people to stand up and try, and you may not always win the first time or ever, but, it's time for us to stand up and like you say, give it your best shot. I mean, there are a lot of us that are here that are good support systems for you, especially once you become the nominee. And so, I think you and the general public watching this, take her advice and think about 2021 and 2022, all the different possible elections that are going to be happening, and it's time for you guys to step up too. So good. Okay. So now let's find out a little bit more about the office itself, county clerk. And that I'm going to ask you your opinion about what the county commissioners are doing, but I don't want to ask you that yet. I want the audience to kind of get a feel for who you are before they hear your opinions on that topic. Okay. So let's just save that topic for a minute from now. So first of all, I know outside of the elections, we hear marriage licenses and things like that. And I think several of the courts, you keep all of their records. Tell us about that. What does a day-to-day look like at the county clerk's office? I mean, what does the 8 to 5 look like?
Oh, wow. That is a great question to learn about what else the county clerk does. So we do have several different departments. It includes our personal records, probate, civil documents, as you talked about before, our information technology, and most of all, annexes. So the services that we provide that I talked about earlier is we really truly do record all the major events of your life. We record your votes. We record your birth certificate. We record and provide you your marriage license when you make that step. When you are choosing to start your own business, you get your DBA and assumed name documents from our office. If you ever have to access a property or deed record, that comes from our office as well. We serve a large amount of a legal base and attorneys that have to get court documents and pertinent information to go serve in the courtroom. And so those are many of the things that we do day to day, and it's a full-time job. Individuals can go to 11 different annexes, including our downtown offices, to get those services. But as we know, COVID has presented us with so many different challenges, right? And so when you were at a public facing office of this nature has had to take a drastic change in the last couple of months. And we've had to get innovative, and we've had to think of ways of how can we serve the public well, even when they can't come in physically. So I am happy to say, we're putting in PPEs and plexiglass stands and things of that nature, hand sanitizer stands, to prepare for when we do open our doors, that the community and our constituency feel safe about coming in to get those services, as well as still looking at ways, how do we make this world virtual? How do we still provide efficiency in terms of the services by doing it online with e-filing and those of that nature? And so in recent weeks, we have gotten approval from our county engineer to be able to do appointments for marriage license by appointment. And what that allows is for all the documentation that you would typically have to get ready in person, you're doing it prior to visiting. You've walked through all the steps of what you need, you're prepared and you're ready, and you have a certain slot of time to just walk through the doors, be screened properly, of course, your temperature screening, and go through the process of getting that. And this week alone, we'll be starting the assumed names process, birth records, and death records. And so those are examples of all the many ways that no matter who you are, something regarding the county clerk's office will touch your life. And so we're going to continue to work toward public facing services. But in the meantime, I'll be really looking to push legislation as we move to 2021. Right now, the marriage license process is only in person. There's no reason why we shouldn't be able to pass common sense laws to be able to do this virtually, right? There's no reason, if we have the paperwork and the documentation, we should be able to do so. Same thing for the courts. The courts are having to operate virtually. We should be able to provide digital services to those who have to show up to court documents. And so that is what I'm thinking about now to prepare for the future.
It's funny listening to you talk. I've heard you in a few Zoom meetings at this point, and I can't help but think, in the political world, when you're kind of nerdy for politics and all that, you're called a political wonk. I think you're just a nerd for paperwork.
And I'm totally okay with that. I'm totally okay with that. The county clerk's office is not a sexy position, right? It's not sexy like state rep or house district or, congressional or even county commissioner. It really is a public service office. And when you've worked in that office and you've gone through the processes, you realize how important it is for someone that is going to do big things, why they need the documentation they need to move forward. And so I am a nerd for paper. I know we've got to get over paper and learn how to do it all virtually and do film coding. And we're doing that now. We're taking film codes and we're bringing it onto the other side, right? Those days are coming to a swift end. And so while we record such historical data and archival data, we have to figure out how do we do that and still be efficient and make it available so people can see it and not have to sit in front of a microfilm machine to do that.
And in these times, recording real, actual, factual data. Wow, so important, so important. And so good. Well, that's exciting. I mean, again, a lot of people probably aren't really aware of the difference between like the district clerk and the county clerk's office. Can you tell us a little bit about that difference? I know Marilyn Burgess is doing a great job at the district level. What's the difference between a county clerk and a district clerk?
Right. So we talked about the county clerk's office and that what we provide. The district clerk is different, in which every single person that's ever served jury duty or will serve jury duty, that is handled by Marilyn Burgess, our district clerk. And so that process in selecting jurors to go to the different courtrooms to represent and to provide the services there is done by the district clerk. And she oversees the district court operations. So some of the same documentation and information that we do for civil documents, our district clerk handles that on that side. But the biggest role of all that everyone is familiar with is the jury summons process. And I encourage in and everyone, I know it's maybe not, again, the sexiest thing to do, but it's such a vital part to what we do in this society and what we should commit to ourselves doing here in Harris County.
Yeah, so true, so true. Good. Okay, so now we see the difference between those two offices. It's very important, and I know that everybody's itching to hear your opinions on this one big topic that's kind of surrounding the county right now. So let me go ahead and let's delve into that topic now. We have a few minutes left. I know that, first of all, it was kind of a bombshell. It happened on election day. They allowed the public to come and speak and have public commentary, but the public that would have been most interested in making public comments were busy at the polls working that day. So before we talk about all of that, just tell me what you felt when you found out that that was happening on that day.
Oh, that's a really good question. When you said we were working, that's exactly what I was doing. I was working. I had an earpiece on one side answering a voter and an earpiece on the other side listening to county commissioners court. And what I'll tell you is, I realize this is the decision of the court. Voters decided and voted for those commissioners to make decisions about our county. And what I'll say to it is, I've not ever worked in an elections administrative office. And so I am doing the same thing that everyone else should be doing, which is showing up to any virtual meetings, any community town halls to get an understanding of what the difference is. I know what it is for the county clerk to run elections, but I don't know quite how that dynamic works in an elections administrative hat. And so I think we need to pay attention. We should ask questions. We should get clarity as this process is already, my understanding, in motion, and get an understanding of what that changes will be. I think really right now I have questions to get a better understanding on what that looks like. The election commission that you mentioned earlier does consist of the county clerk, the county tax assessor collector, the county judge, and the 2 political party chairs. And so the county clerk will still be very much involved with that process in terms of accountability, along with the commissioners court. And I think we hear what this is about, get an understanding of the timeline and what works best for Harris County. So I really can't say, oh, this way or that way. I can say that we need to get educated, we need to understand, and we need to do the best that we can to make sure that elections is going to be successful in any manner that it is. Now, I sure hope that I'll be able to be a great part of that and sit on a committee and talk about what works and what doesn't work and kind of how to formulate those ideas. But I do understand that decision is upon our commissioners court and that we really need to rally and get an understanding of the future ahead.
So I know this is a kind of a tough question, especially because you're in the middle of a campaign, but do you really want to be the district clerk if it doesn't have anything to do with elections anymore? Would you rather try to get appointed as the elections administrator?
So I do still want to be the county clerk, right? We just talked about all the other operations that the county clerk's office holds and what the county clerk's office does. And while it is clear to everyone, I'm so passionate about elections, the elections process, I think it's time for a great opportunity to educate the public on all the other things the county clerk's office does that is important to our community, and still focus on, the forward movement of the office as a whole. But no doubt would I not want to still be running for Harris County Clerk. I am here for any parts of how the office will move forward. And I think it's a great opportunity to launch an education campaign. I think the county will be responsible for educating the public on the road ahead, what the timeline will be, and how we service those. So I think this is going to be a learning opportunity for myself and for everyone else.
So at this point, let me just remind the audience, especially if you joined us a little bit later in this, we are talking with Tanisha Hudspeth, who is the only currently declared candidate to run for the county clerk position on the Democratic ticket. On August 15th, the precinct chairs of Harris County will meet for their CEC and for their county executive committee meeting. And when they do, if they have a quorum, they will be selecting who's going to be on the ballot on behalf of the Democratic Party in November. So if you are a precinct chair and you're watching, you must attend the August 15th meeting. If you have missed CEC meetings in the past, don't miss this one. We have to have a quorum. If we don't have a quorum, what happens is the Democratic Party actually loses the chance to have any Democrat on the ballot in this position. So even if Tanisha is the only person who's declared to run, she would not appear on the ballot if enough of you precinct chairs don't show up on August 15th. So again, I cannot stress enough August 15th. Put that on your calendar. Get a temporary tattoo on your arm or something. But whatever you do, don't miss that meeting. Tanisha, we're having a good conversation. I know that we're going to cut this short. We're not going to have the whole hour with you because I think we get it. We understand who you are. We see your passion. We have identified that you are, in fact, a nerd for this office, whether it has the elections or not component. That's exciting to hear because, honestly, we need someone in this office, a Democrat, whether it has administrative duties on elections or not. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and give you a 2-minute closing statement, and then I will go through the process of passing the baton to Sherry for the next debate. So 2 minutes.
Thank you. Over the past several weeks, I have been reaching out to speak with precinct chairs directly, attending Democrat Club virtual meetings, hosting virtual talks with Tanisha, sending emails, and having daily dialogue on social media platforms, and will continue to speak and reach out to each and every precinct chair before August 15th. This 2020 election year will mark the most important turn for the Democratic Party as we work to turn Texas blue in the November general election. We are in the midst of such difficult and uncertain times, and each day I recognize we cannot sit idle and wait to see what will happen next. We have to stay engaged, connected, and put action behind what we say we want to see in the world. I am progressive and working to put legislation forward that will influence the people we serve, and the people that we serve in the services that we provide to the county and our constituents. I support all forms of diversity and will hit the ground running from day one. I've received the endorsements of former Harris County Clerk, Dr. Diane Troutman, Senator Boris Miles, Representative Sophronia Thompson, John Rosenthal, Hubert Rowe, and City Council members Tiffany Thomas. I am the right person, right time for the job for Harris County Clerk. You can find more information about my campaign at TanishaHudspeth.com, or you can follow me on Facebook at Tanisha Hudspeth for Harris County Clerk, or Twitter at Tanisha for Harris County. I respectfully ask for your support and your vote August 15th. My name is Tanisha Hudspeth, and I'm running for Harris County Clerk. Thank you, everyone, for this opportunity.
And thanks again, Tanisha. We'll see you on the campaign trail. Thanks for coming. Great. So now you've just seen the debate, the one-person monologue for county clerk. She's the only announced candidate so far. Again, that doesn't mean that she's the only candidate. On August 15th, I think we can even still have people from the floor nominated. So keep your ear to the ground to see if anybody else is interested in this office. This is who has shown quite a bit of interest at this point. And so she has presented her point of view. Next up, we have the Harris County Democratic Party, the Harris County Department of Education debate. And this is a real debate. There are 3 candidates announced. And to handle that capably, we have Sherry Matula. Sherry is a longtime educator. She just told me you're celebrating 39 years in the
39th year in the
classroom. She also does professional development. So she's in and out of schools in Harris County and surrounding areas a lot. She's very well versed in the world of education, as you can tell. She actually ran for Harris County Department of Education herself in 2016, back when it was the Republican days. And if I remember correctly, out of 248,000 votes cast, she only lost by 512 votes. So a heartbreaking loss for the Democrats in that seat for many reasons. But that tells you that on any given Tuesday, the Democrats can pull this off. That was 2016. 2018, again, showed us that the Democrats are on the rise. And 2020, I think this is our time. So Sherry, I'll let you take it away. These questions, you and I worked on these questions together, but you are the master at delivering education questions. So I'll leave this debate in your capable hands.
Thank you, Jaime. I'm looking forward to it. So without further ado, I would like to just explain to you that this Harris County Department of Education position is for Precinct 3. And the Harris County Department of Education is more than anything else a support for the school districts in the Harris County area, along with the fact that they also administer many other services, including a lot of different training and certification for different kinds of positions that are out in the workforce. So it has a lot of different things that we're going to be doing as far as this. And I would like to introduce at this time the three candidates that we have. The first is David Brown. Welcome.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And next is Wabara.
Yes, Obes Wabara. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for running, both of you. And we also have Jose Rivera.
Good evening. Thanks for having us tonight.
Good evening. And I wish for all of you a very wonderful forum. I just briefly told about Harris County Department of Ed because I'm actually going to be asking you some questions about it. So I didn't want to give away anything ahead of time. The forum that we're having tonight is a chance for all the precinct chairs to observe you in a job interview where you are describing your past accomplishments and training. Through your answers, we'll begin to know each one of you better and assess your potential as a Harris County Department of Education board member. And one of the things I would like to tell all the precinct chairs is this is a real opportunity for us to take back a seat on this board to make sure that it is more equally balanced on behalf of the children and the staff in the school districts all over Harris County. So we are very excited about one of you being on this board to represent the students. So to begin with, here's the rules. You're going to be having 1 minute to introduce yourself. And I'll repeat what Jaime said, which is, of course, that we're going to be asking you to make sure you tell how to contact you or your website within that 1 minute. Second, then we'll be going into what's called a lightning round, where you'll be given a short question. You just respond in a couple of words. Then we'll be going into 1 minute answers. I have 5 questions for you. And then we'll be going into 30-second questions. And then finally, you'll get a chance to tell everybody why, again, they need to vote for you out of all the precinct chairs. Now, the way I'm going to do it, I have a little timer right next to me. So I'm going to be going like this when your time is up. So make sure you close out because we want to make sure you get all of the questions asked. Okay, gentlemen, here we go. To begin with, you'll have 1 minute to tell us what uniquely qualifies you to serve on the HCDE board. And we'll start off with David Brown.
Good evening, everyone. My name is David Brown, political candidate for Harris County School Trustee at large position 7. I want to first thank you all for having this event and allowing me to be a part of it. You can add me on Facebook as David W. Brown. Again, Facebook, David W. Brown. You can also follow me on Instagram. It's at David_W_Brown. That Instagram again is at David_W_Brown. I'm a father of 3. I'm a husband. I'm a first generation high school and college graduate. I'm currently employed as a health educator with a nonprofit organization located in 3rd Ward. I'm looking forward to a great debate showing you all why you should vote for me August 15th to be on the ballot in November and why I'm the most qualified candidate for this position. Again, David Brown.
Thank you. Moving along, we have Obes Wabara.
Thank you. My name is Obes Wabara. I'm running for Harris County Department of Education Board Trustee, seat 7. And you can follow me at my website, obesforhcde.com. That's OBESFORHCDE.com. Or you can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Same deal, Obes for HCDE. That's again, OBESFORHCDE. And so I want to throw 3 numbers at you: 1,500, 7,500, and 12,000. So 1,500 is the number of kids who currently benefit from Head Start. 7,500 is the number of kids who currently benefit from our in-school therapy services programs. And then 12,000 number of kids that are in CASE, the Center for After School Summer and Enrichment. Now, between those 3 programs, that's about 21,000 kids. We have nearly 1 million in Harris County. It's a big gap between where we are and where we could be, where we should be. I want to expand those programs, make sure that more kids and more families in our county benefit from those programs, benefit from the opportunities that come from those programs. Again, OBS for HCDE.
Thank you. And Jose Rivera.
Good evening. My name is Jose Rivera. You can reach me and follow me at Facebook at Jose for HCDE7. JOSE for HCDE7. And I'm in this race because I have experience over 15 years in nonprofit and political. I've worked for Congressman Gene Green. I've worked in the nonprofit field, currently an executive director at the Y. Worked at Baker Ripley. So I've worked firsthand with HCDE on different initiatives through and also in the community with different ISDs on partnering, collaborating, and leveraging resources for our students and our families in our community. So I want to make sure that the next trustee that gets this position also has the lens of the community with the experience to go with it, of understanding of the diversity and the need for equity for Harris County and for our students and our futures.
Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to start the lightning round with Obes, and each one of you, this is just simple, couple of maybe a name or a couple of words or whatever. So no timing on this, just don't get carried away, okay? So Obes, what is your voting precinct?
It is, I just had it, I want to say 115 or 118.
Okay, Jose?
It is 505, and I'm really excited that the precinct chair, Kimberly Lopez, is a supporter.
Thank you. David?
13.
Okay, next one. Precinct chair or captain who would vouch for you? Jose?
Lenora Sorrell Pullman would be one.
Okay, David?
Vincent Sanders.
Okay, and Obes?
Tara Taylor.
Okay, next one. Let's see how you do on this. Okay, Jose, David, a principal who would vouch for you?
Sergio Lira.
Okay, Obes?
I'm not sure I have one.
Okay, and Jose?
Rebecca Hoyt from Aldine ISD.
Okay, next to Obes, a PTA or PTO parent member who would vouch for you?
Pass.
Okay, Jose?
Virginia Bassan.
Okay, and David?
Tanika Williams.
Okay, Jose, you'll be first up on this one. A member of a teachers union who would vouch for you?
Hold on, I'm sorry. Teachers Union. I have the name on the top of my head. I'm sorry.
Our Teachers Association, either one.
Yes. I have it right here. It's on the top of my tongue. I'm sorry.
That's okay. David?
Freddie Cuellar.
Okay, Obes?
Michelle Palmer.
Okay, did you think of one?
Vilma Morera.
Okay.
Sorry, I was like, oh.
That's okay. David, is there another county Department of Education in Texas?
No, ma'am.
Okay, Obes?
No, there's not.
Okay, Jose?
No.
Okay. Obes, how many school districts are in Harris County?
25.
Okay, Jose?
25.
Okay, David?
25.
Okay. I'm starting with Jose this time, I believe. Does HCDE provide services only to public schools?
Only to public service? Like the only service? Is that the question? I'm sorry.
Do they only provide services to public schools, or do they include private and public schools?
I believe it's public.
Okay, David?
They provide services to a few charter schools as well.
Okay, Obes?
If we're including charter schools as non-public, then public and charter.
Okay. David, how many times have you attended an HCDE board meeting in the last year? Understanding that we've had COVID and the others, but how many times have you attended?
In 2020, well, prior to COVID, every month. They have their board meeting every third Wednesday of the month, and in 2019, about 9 times.
Okay, Obes?
So in 2020, they've had 7 meetings, 6 regular, 1 emergency. Been to 4 of them.
Okay, Jose?
2 to 3 online on Zoom. It's during work day, so I try to take lunch and try to keep up with some of it. Yes.
Okay. And Obes, I believe I'm starting with you this time. What is the current yearly budget for HCDE?
Somewhere in the neighborhood of about 120 million.
Okay. Jose?
I have the expenditures here. I have about 86,374, but I think it's in the 100 range. Yes.
Okay, David?
It is currently $174.5 million. That is the current budget for the 2020-2021 school year.
And that is actually correct. It's 175. Okay, now a reminder to all the precinct chairs who are watching this. Your duty, especially having to do with these gentlemen, is that you must achieve a quorum whenever you are going to be attending on August the 15th, because we need to have one of these very qualified gentlemen serving in precinct 3 and make sure that they are on the ballot so that we can have that position back for us. So mark your calendars. Just like Jaime said, if you need to tattoo something on your arm or your hand to make sure you attend, you must be there. Okay, we are now entering into the 1-minute answers. And I'll just go ahead and start at the top again with David, and then we'll rotate through. Okay, here's the main problem that we're encountering, and I want to know what you're going to do to help with this. Whoever we elect will need to fight to keep HCDE alive and to keep Republicans on the HCDE board and in the state legislature from closing HCDE down. What have you done in the past to show us that you will fight for the future of HCDE? You have 1 minute, David.
That's a great question. Again, I've attended several of the meetings. I'm in full support of each board member. I've reached out to each board member in ways that I can help in any type of way. Also, to ensure that the board is still there. The board does such a great job for our community and to every student. It, again, reaches 12,000. It serves approximately 30,000 students, with their 4 campuses. And it's just a great supportive system for all of our ISDs. So it is, again, a great supportive system, and we need it. And I will advocate for it. I will fight for it. Investing in our children is investing in our future. And I'm a father of 3. So again, I'm all for public education. I'm all for HCDE.
Thank you. Okay, on to you, Obes.
So I've reached out to board members as well. I've attended meetings. I think the biggest thing I can say is being active in the community to make sure that we maintain control of this board and that we continue to flip and make Texas blue so that Republicans don't even have the opportunity to get rid of the Harris County Department of Education. And I think going forward, whoever wins this seat is going to be, if it's one of us 3 or any Democrat, will make the board 6-1 Democrats in composition. So having that much control of the board makes certain that we're going to be able to keep it open, continue to benefit Harris County students, not just now, but in the years to come.
Thank you. On to you, Jose.
Yes, that is a very important question, and that's one of the reasons I'm in this race. Relationships matter. Over the last 15 years, I've gotten to work with a lot of the state reps and state senators. And one of the questions conversations I've had with fellow trustees, I've spoken to a few, and I'm endorsed by Richard Cantu, who's a current sitting trustee, is how do we break the silo of what the amazing things happen at Harris County Department of Education and raise awareness externally? This is a entity that is not there's not a ton of awareness outside of the great things that are happening internally, and we have to educate, raise awareness, and be able to leverage and advocate for the importance of leveraging these resources and keeping the Harris County Department of Education solvent in the future for future generations of children and families that benefit from the services that they provide.
Thank you. Okay, the next question is near and dear to my heart after 39 years. It has to do with standardized testing. And just to let you gentlemen know, I was actually on 60 Minutes 20 years ago speaking to a national audience interviewed by Leslie Stahl about standardized testing. And I very strongly communicated that this was strictly a money game. And I'm sharing that with you because I am so concerned every day that I'm in a classroom with the undue pressure being put on the system for no reason other than to put money into people's pockets. So on the next one, OBS, is standardized testing mostly good or mostly bad?
I think it's mostly bad because it's not capturing the growth that students go through throughout the school year. It's judging them solely by how they score on a test, and a lot of these tests can be culturally biased at times. For example, if you're asking questions about playing cards for like statistics, and a person has never used a deck of playing cards, they may know the answer to the statistics problem, but they don't know the background to be able to answer correctly. So I would say that they're mostly bad. It's like you said, it is a money grab, and I think we need to be looking more at how much progress students are making throughout the school year, where they are versus where they started. I think that's what we need to be looking at more.
Thank you. Jose.
Yes, I also think it's mostly bad. Being one of those kids that struggled with adversity by not having those resources and benefits growing up, to the standardized testing and barely getting through that. Stigmas and labels get placed in our children that are unnecessary and limit their potential. There's a lot of teaching towards a test instead of giving teachers the opportunity to really engage the students and empowering them in educational growth. I mean, I've seen that with my two boys. They learn differently. I was a different learner, so I'm very passionate about this issue, making sure that we're finding other ways and working with educational professionals to find other methodologies of really understanding and really gauging our children for success and not just for tests.
Thank you. And on to David.
I would say mostly bad, based on my experience. Some students come to school, they haven't ate, their lights are off, they're dealing with issues at home. So if we can tackle these issues and support them in more ways than one, then their grades would reflect as such. So, I mean, if we can assist them on the many levels they need assistance on, then I'm all for it. But if that's not the case, then I would say standardized tests are mostly bad.
Thank you. And just to share with the audience, the curriculum that is used in the schools across the state of Texas is all determined by the State Board of Education. And the State Board of Education, which we have some good candidates right now, they are comprised of 15 elected individuals. And at this point in time, to my best recollection, 9 of them still believe the earth is only 6,000 years old. So we will go from there. Okay. Charter schools. Jose, this one is to you. How do we move forward?
From charter schools, I feel is leveraging and creating equity in our home schools, and making sure those resources aren't taken by opening up the floodgates to whoever wants to come in and create a charter school. I mean, I understand parents and wanting to send their kids, but I mean, a lottery system as a solution for our children is not the answer to get access to a good education. I want to make sure we're advocating and working with the community and different stakeholders that we create a path forward towards equitable schooling for all at your neighborhood school. I think that's very important. It's very valuable. And every kid deserves a great education. I think, having access and having those resources distributed equitably will make a difference.
Thank you. Okay, David, same question.
I am a product of a public school, HISD. My daughter, she attends public school, so I am an advocate for public schools. I do see how charter schools can benefit our students. I mean, as far as education is concerned, education is very important, but I feel like we should invest in our public schools. They need the resources. We have the resources. Our staff deserves this. Our students deserve this. So I'm all for public schools.
And OBS.
I think the way forward with charter schools is to not move forward with charter schools. agree with David. I think that our best opportunity is to invest in, or better and differently invest in our public schools, so that we're not just doing funding for public schools based off of property taxes. We need to be doing it through a more equitable share of taxpayer dollars towards these public schools. So we don't have a situation where, people move from the city to the suburbs because they want to get their kids into a good school, quote unquote, good school. All of our schools should be good schools, regardless of where our students live. Your zip code should not determine your future or how bright it is. We need to make sure that we invest in all of our schools so that all of our students have the best possible opportunity at success in and outside of the classroom.
Thank you. And just to explain to the precinct chairs, there are two different types of charter schools. One is private charter and one is public charter. And the public charter schools are connected with school districts, and they have to come under the same regulations and guidelines that a public school district has to. In private charters, there is no requirement, by the way, for any of the teachers in them to have a full certification. So, okay. I've been given the go-ahead, gentlemen, to keep asking 1-minute questions. So I will continue on through these, so you all will have some time to do this. So we are going on to a little bit tougher. Let's see what you do with these. So I believe, David, we're back to you, correct? So within the UIL structure, University Interscholastic League, how do you see districts moving forward when there is only distance learning?
That's a great question. Well, Harris County being the largest county in the state, I believe it's only right for us to lead. And when it comes down to innovation, so being at the forefront, I see us moving forward in many ways. We're just evolving with the times, and technology is right now is super beneficial, because without this, I don't know how we would be hosting this forum. So again, I think it'll be great. UIL, we would just, I'm assuming, move forward more so virtually in matters like this with Zoom, and making sure our students have the resources to connect virtually, such as laptops, maybe iPads, tablets. So just, again, investing in our students, investing in our staff, and investing in our community.
Thank you. Okay, Oves.
So I think using technology is definitely the way forward whenever possible. There are some programs and some students that do have to be on campus or in person to be able to get the benefits that they need. So I think as much as we can have kids be virtual learning, that'd be good to make sure that we're not putting people at unnecessary risk. I think the other part, though, is ensuring that all of our students have the resources to be able to do that. I was watching one of the debates earlier for State Board of Education, seat 6, and Michelle Palmer said that in her school district, 40% of students don't have laptops at home or don't have Wi-Fi. So we need to make sure that we make that kids have Wi-Fi, whether that's through something like a public-private partnership with like a company like Comcast, to make sure kids have hotspots. If it's something through public-private partnership, to make sure kids have laptops, not just at least one per family, ideally one per student, so that they don't have to share and they can always get their schoolwork done. It's about looking at the resources that we have and the corporation in the area. They need to be doing their part to be good neighbors to make sure that we can get to all of our students.
Thank you. And Jose.
Yes, this is a very important question, and one that I'm currently dealing with. In my current work at why I oversee our outreach initiatives, and what we're seeing a lot of is our kids lacking access to technology and resources. Is the technology great? Yes. Do our kids have those resources equitably? No. Some of the partnerships that we've been working with other nonprofit partners, for example, we're trying to work to introduce laptops and computers through partnership with CompuDot and different leveraging resources, but the access to the technology and making sure that it's given not only to per home, because sometimes we have a lot of families that have more than one child trying to access internet at the same time. So there's a big void. I think Dr. Latham, when they were talking about the announcement for going back to school, talking about some children haven't had any connections to school since March, is heartbreaking for me. That breaks my heart. Just knowing how hard it is to deal with my children and making sure that we have access for others. Thank you.
Thank you. The way that you three answered the question just now leads into the question also that's coming up. So kind of take it a step further. Under this COVID environment, if you were on the HCDE board right now, what would you be fighting for on behalf of students and educators if you had that power right now? Obes, to you.
So the biggest thing I'd be fighting for is making sure that as few students and teachers and faculty members need to be on campus as possible. We've seen the state sort of relax a little bit on that in terms of pushing back when the school year starts. But like I said in my previous answer, some students do have to be on campus to be able to get the benefits that they need, especially with like special education. But I would be pushing to make sure that we were doing virtual learning as much as possible, which means, again, making sure that we get laptops, hotspots, that sort of thing to students wherever we can. But I would be pushing to make sure that we were keeping students, teachers, and faculty at home and safe as much as possible.
Thank you. Okay, Jose, same question.
Yes, I think it's advocating for access to resources, making sure that we're working with public-private relationships and however we can under the trustee role and as trustees to bring those resources to the forefront for access to our kids and to our families. I'd love to have my kids back at school, but when I hear 1% of kids being, possibly becoming ill or seeing deaths, and thinking of my two babies and thinking of the kids that I get to work around every day, that's not worth the risk for them or the teachers that have been advocating to delay because they're fearing for their safety. I think the protocols and the uncertainties aren't there. We need to identify what best practices are happening in other places and see how we can find that middle. But I think first and foremost is that access to technology is that equity equation that I'm really focused and determined to make sure I bring forth as a trustee.
Thank you. And David, same question to you.
Safety is super important. My daughter, she's 7. I don't plan on sending her back to school until I know it's absolutely safe. But I'm in a position to where I have internet, I have a laptop. She's able to do her schoolwork from home. Not everyone is in that position. So I would want to ensure that everyone is able to still get a quality education, even at home. And I would want to take the parents into consideration as well. Some parents depend on the school system to feed their children. Some parents depend on the school system so they can be able to go to work. So I will then host virtual meetings to communicate with these parents and see what ways we can better assist them to make sure everyone across the board has the best situation possible for them. And again, the children are safe, the parents are safe, the staff is safe, and everyone has access to equitable education.
Okay, all three of you. At this point in time, I'm going to ask you all three, because you're running for this position, to advocate on behalf of the students across the many school districts in Harris County for two things. One is to make sure that broadband access is available all across Harris County, whether you call up your county commissioner, whether you talk with whoever you need to talk with to put that on, to encourage HCDE to work together with them. My last contract was in Spring Branch, and I finished up on February the 27th. That was my last day in the classroom. And I will tell you right now that in checking back with those students, 8th graders at one of the schools in Spring Branch, that the teacher told me that only 50% of the kids had the access to be able to come online out of that entire school of 200 students in 8th grade. So 50% of those kids had no access or availability to be able to even get online. So everybody, that's the way it is now. Okay, we're going to stay with 1-minute questions. This is your next one, and I believe it goes to Jose, if I'm correct. Correct me if I ever get out of order, guys. What education agencies or school district structures have you interacted with in the past, and how?
Over the years, I have interacted when I worked for Congressman Gene Green with the Harris County Department of Education. And I currently work with Aldine Independent School District on providing after-school programming and support services for families in the community in my current job. And also, I'm very fortunate on my board at the Y that I'm at. And I'm currently partnering with the HISD Wraparound Services Director on strategies on providing some of the support services, whether it's food insecurity and some other other support resources that aren't available right now. I think David hit the point right home earlier, as far as, school is a place of equity in the sense of having a safe place to go to, getting access to and getting resources. So we have to make sure we're providing that. So that's the work I've been doing since COVID and have been working with these school districts for many years.
Thank you. David.
Yeah, so I'm currently employed as a health educator. Prior to the pandemic, I was actually in schools working directly with youth and supportive staff. North Forest High School, Yes Prep North Side, Yes Prep North Central Scarborough High School. This is what I was doing prior to the pandemic. Now, after the pandemic, we're working on virtual implementation. We started that about a month ago. So I was actually in schools working with the youth. This is what I do for a living.
Thank you. Obes.
So over the years, I've volunteered at schools. I've done things like working with organizations like LVEC, the Latino Voter Empowerment Coalition, when I lived in Dallas. And one of the bigger things I did before I came back here was I started working on a program with the United States, with the USDA, to be able to provide meals for students under the age of 18. When I was working at Baylor Scott and White Health, to be able to go into any of our facilities, as long as they're under the age of 18, to be able to get meals during the summer when school was out. So working with public schools, I've also been a public school student myself. So working with students in public schools, make sure they get meals, make sure they have their needs met, is something that I've been doing for a long time and will continue to do.
Thank you.
To expand Head Start. So I was excited to hear that. But this expansion covers Northeast Houston and Southeast Houston, but that's not the entire Harris County. So I look forward to expanding that expansion to where we can reach out to the entire Harris County for Head Start. Preschool is important for every child. It's like it's the foundation for their educational career, so on and so forth. So for sure, every child has their right and deserves to be able to go to pre-K. They need it. We need it. It's to produce productive citizens in Harris County and so on and so forth.
Thank you. Obes.
So I got started this forum stating 1,500 kids in Head Start currently. Like David said, in the northeast part of Harris County. I do like that they got that $11.7 million grant to expand it. Like I've been saying the last however many months it's been that I've been on this campaign, we need to expand it so that everybody in Harris County has access to this beautiful program. Not just for the students that will be in there learning to socialize with kids their own age, but also for their families to be able to free up a parent or a loved one from watching that child during the school day. So that frees them up to do, whether it's work outside the home or just even have a chance to like catch their breath after having a young child. Head Start is just such a great program for all of our students here in Harris County. And it needs to not just be in the northeast part of Harris County, getting back to my point about your zip code not determining your future. It should be for everybody in Harris County. And that's what I've been looking to do since I've been running for this office.
Thank you. Jose, same question.
Yes, I think the other candidates share a great overview, a little over 1,500 kids, 20.7, 20 million, over 20 million, almost 21 million current over budget, kind of the largest budget pieces for HCD, which represents, a lot of what's going on with HCD. But as it was stated earlier, I think we're just scratching the surface. I think when we think of equity and when we think of equitable resources, I'm going to advocate. I want to advocate as trustee of increasing that capacity for Head Start, but I also want to work with different partners and stakeholders. A survey with the Kinder Institute over the last couple of years stated over 67% of residents are in favor of universal pre-K, and I'm an advocate for that. I know the county judge, Lena Hidalgo, wants to revisit that. It was something that was visited and kind of got nixed a few years ago. I definitely think we're in a lot better position now to try to revisit that as we move forward as a community.
Thank you. Okay, I believe we're with Obes.
Yes.
Explain what you know about the
Uh-oh. Oh, we lost her for a second.
Yeah, she's frozen on my end.
I'm sorry, you were frozen. Could you do that? Could you ask that question again?
We had some sort of a glitch here. Okay. Explain what you know about the buying cooperative within the structure of HCDE.
So because HCDE in Harris County, just generally speaking, is so large, we are able to get products at a much cheaper rate because of the quantity that we buy, which then we can then turn around and sell to school districts at a deep discount that they wouldn't be able to get on their own, which sort of speaks to my experience just in private practice, for lack of a better term. So I've been doing my entire career for the last 5 to 7 years in contract-based work. Is when you're a larger entity, you can get items at a cheaper price because of the quantity that you're buying. That's the way it works for HCDE as well. So that's what I would say I know about it.
Thank you. Okay, Jose.
Yes, very similar. You know, it's leveraging resources by being able to be a larger entity, buy in bulk, to be able to create access to resources to the 25 school districts that are served through HCDE. So it's definitely a great benefit. It's an important benefit to create more bringing the cost down lower for these local school districts, that especially some of our smaller outlying school districts, to be able to leverage and do more things with their resources and money by being able to leverage through this program.
Thank you. And David.
I truly believe this is one of the main reasons HCDE is the last county board standing. I believe our board members are great stewards with our tax dollars and the funding that we receive, and largely, like, this is a large part of that $174.5 million budget. Our property tax that we pay is annually about $9 for the average Harris County the average Harris County homeowner. Like $9, that's for the entire year. And that's about $22 million out of that $174.5 million budget. So again, the buying cooperative is super important, and I'm appreciative of it. And I think, again, the board members are doing a great job and are great stewards with our finances.
Thank you. And this next is kind of a follow-up question to the one that you just answered. Jose, I think we're at you right now. When talking with vendors as an HCDE trustee, how will you know if something is innovative and unique or just repackaged junk?
That's a great question. I think that's, that we need to have a vending process to be able to make sure we're identifying that. That is something that's really important to me, and especially making sure that, as we work with vendors, not only with buying power, but with providing services such as case programming, that we make an equitable process as part of my platform as well, to make sure that we create a system similar to the city that has, the vetting process of minority women business owners, that they could be part of the process and included. I would also, have those conversations and educate myself and raise more awareness around that for me, because I'm not as deeply involved in that piece, but I want to make sure that you bring the right stakeholders around the table to be able to make those right decisions.
Thank you. David, same question.
Again, it takes a village to raise a child. I believe it takes a village to do pretty much anything. So I'm grateful to not only be one board member for the HCDE board, that I would have 6 other board members. So it's always great to consult with other members and make sure that, hey, just in case something may go over my head, someone else may catch it. But I highly doubt that, because I have been around the block a few times. So I think I'm well prepared to encounter any kind of fraudulent or some repackaged junk. I think, again, Houston is the melting pot, largest county in Texas. I think we're the innovators and the creators, and it's up to us to continue to lead the way and prepare our children for the future.
Thank you. Same question to Oaks.
So this is what I do in my career, not just now as a category manager, but also when I was a consultant. a big part of what you do is something called voice of the customer. So it's not just enough to talk to the supplier and see what they have to say about what they do, but you talk to their customers, see how often do they deliver on time, what do they do to reconcile problems. You need to do all of that research, as well as when you conduct the RFP, ask the right questions. That's something that I've done the past 5 to 7 years of my career, and something that I'm well versed in and been very successful at. So that's how I would make sure that what people are saying is innovative actually is. And when it is junk, because sometimes those things slip through, being able to make sure that we have the right language in the contract to make sure that we're made whole again if things are not as they appear to be.
Thank you. You can imagine, after being in the classroom for 39 years, the kind of junk that I've seen.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. David, I think this one comes to you next. Could you explain what the AB campuses are within the structure of HCDE?
The AB campuses, I believe those are the, excuse me, the alternative campuses. They have one on the north side and the east side, I believe.
Okay. Did you want to give us any other information about them that you might know?
AB campuses is, yep, slipped my mind.
That's okay. Okay. On to you, Obes.
So the AB campuses, AB both east and west, are the schools for kids that have had past behavioral issues. I'm a huge advocate for that, because I don't believe that we should be throwing kids by the wayside just because they made a mistake in the past. We don't know what's happening when these kids are not in the school in the school building. To give you an example, one of my friends actually graduated valedictorian from high school right here in HISD. Had a friend that each day they would come into school for 4 years. They just could not get along. So senior year, finally asked the kid, "Why have we not been friends this entire time?" And the kid says to him, "My mom was on drugs. I've been dealing with that at home every day. I just didn't want to deal with you when I got to school." So that can be the cause for a lot of these behavioral issues. And if we don't have the ability to treat those kids in a timely fashion, they can fall by the wayside and their whole lives can be ruined. So having campuses like the AB schools is beautiful, innovative, and I think we need to be doing more of that, not less.
Thank you. Jose, same question.
Yeah, I agree with everything that was just said. And just to elaborate, that's been my career path, making sure that we're doing preventative measures for our youth and families and support services and wraparound services to help prevent. ABE does that. They're a school of last resort, and we have to make sure we put our best foot forward to provide the counseling services and the resources that our kids need and deserve. When we talk about equity, that's the forefront. And one of the most amazing campuses that is out there is the ABE campus, Fortis Academy, one of the only rehabilitation centers for high school students, where they get full wraparound services to make sure that kid has a pathway to success. If we could do preventative measures, like Obes said, to meet those issues up front, we could transform a child for a lifetime that transforms children and families for generations to come. It's a very passionate issue. They currently serve over 700 kids, and not every school district is utilizing it to its advantage, especially Fortis Academy.
Thank you. You kind of took something out of order, but I'm going to go ahead and put it in this. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to Obes and have him tell me what you know about the Fortis Academy.
So the Fortis Academy is the school for kids that have had past substance abuse issues, whether it's drugs or alcohol. Again, being able to bounce back from life's adversity is a gift that HED is currently giving to some students. What I would say about it is that I wish we were able to get more kids that have fallen in that way, to make sure that we're not criminalizing our kids, but that we're giving them a chance to develop over time and be the best version of themselves. I've said during this campaign, I didn't make this phrase up, but I think it applies here. It's better and easier to guide a child than to try to fix a broken man or woman. The Fortis Academy is allowing us to guide our children in the right direction, free from, the penitentiary system. And by not criminalizing our students, by helping them develop, we're putting them on the right path for themselves, for their families, for our city, our county, our state, and our country.
Thank you. So, Jose, what do you know about the Fortis Academy?
I shared some earlier. One of the things I do know, we need to utilize it more. I know there's quite a. I know HISD pays for certain slots. I think it's 12 or 13 slots or that are unused that some of the surrounding school districts pay for. So I think raising awareness and education with our support services at the local ISDs is definitely something we need to create and create awareness of. But like was said earlier, and I shared earlier, I just think it's so vital and important to provide these preventative measures and not to put stigmas and labels on our kids, and of all walks of life, but predominantly Black and Brown kids in our communities. Being a mentor in the past and doing the work that I've done, I've seen kids that have been able to rise to success through support services. I'm a product of having people intervene in my life and giving support services and programming. So it's about paying it forward as a community and making sure that we're providing those resources up front versus at the end.
Thank you. Same question to you, David.
Yes, I agree with Jose. I truly believe it's all about paying it forward. I struggle with drugs in my family as well. So absolutely pay it forward. And I had a point. Yeah, that's it for me on that one.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, next question. What is, and this goes to Jose first, what is CASE for Kids? CASE.
CASE for Kids is after school programming. So CASE provide is an initiative that provides after school services and summer programming to children across our community. They work with different vendors from our community. I work at a local nonprofit that's also part of CASE, so I'm definitely aware of that, providing quality after school care and summer enrichment programming and resources for our families in the community.
Thank you. David, to you.
Again, Center for After School Summer and Enrichment provides resources and things of that nature for students. Again, I'm all about after school programs. I started a organization, A Million Feet for Clean Streets. And with this organization, we cleaned up parks, schools, communities. We fed the homeless, we clothed the homeless. When people think they're nothing, they throw trash wherever they are. So I wanted to change that within my community. And then I took that and expanded it throughout Harris County. I also started another organization. It's called the Gentleman's Book Club. And that was to promote the positives and importance of reading. Growing up, a lot of people really didn't like to read. I myself didn't like to read either, but I got accustomed to it, and I realized books are great. It's a lot of answers in books, and it can really expand. If your mind hasn't been exposed, it can expand. So expanding your mind, exposing your mind, and that's what I'm all about. So I support after school programs wholeheartedly.
Thank you. To you, Obes.
I like what you said. If your mind hasn't been exposed, can't expand. That's nice. So CASE for Kids, the Center for After School Summer and Enrichment. I think Jose and David really touched on, the after school and summer programming. I think the biggest thing, this is currently benefiting about 12,000 kids in our county. Like I mentioned at the beginning, we have almost 1 million students. Now, not all 1 million of those kids require the programs that CASE puts on. Some kids have the ability to just stay at home. They're doing sports after school in the summer, basketball, football, baseball, what have you. But for the kids that are not able to, that don't have parents that can provide those resources themselves, CASE is like a godsend to be able to have a place to go that's safe during the summer and after school, to make sure that we're not letting kids fall through the cracks when the school day ends and that they're not falling behind when the school year ends. So CASE for Kids is a wonderful program that I'd like to expand, and that's what I'm advocating for as a candidate, and that's what I would do as a board trustee.
Thank you. Okay, I'm still grilling you all, so get ready. David, describe some of the therapy services available to students within the structure of HCDE.
Okay, HCDE has therapies for students with autism, things of that nature along the autism spectrum, and they do a great job. Again, I support it, and I think it's great.
Thank you very much. Okay, on to you, Obes.
There are actually 2 pillars of HCDE that cover therapy-related services. So there's in-school therapy services, which is one of the parts of my platform that I'd like to expand. And there's also special education. So both of those programs, like David touched on with autism, kids that have other special needs, which is a super important thing at a time like this. A lot of times the reason why kids get these services through their public schools is because the parents don't have the resources to do it themselves. So that's something we need to make sure that we always address. That's always at top of mind, especially in a time of COVID, to make sure that those resources are not taken and earmarked for something else, that they're maintained for our students with disabilities and special needs. It's great that they've been doing that. It's good that it's going to continue. And I hope that it expands. I'm given the chance to advocate for it to expand.
Thank you. Same question to you, Jose.
Yeah, just building on that, the in-school and special education services, providing for different needs for our children, making sure that is there. And for some school districts, that's the HCDE is the primary partner that's working to bring those resources into our schools. So I think it's really important that we make sure we leverage and expand that, getting our kids identified early on that have challenges and getting them the best foot forward up front. So that's definitely a place where we need to place more investment and to work with these children to make sure they're getting those resources they need at an early stage, and getting it up front and making sure more children have access to it, because sometimes it takes a while to get identified or diagnosed with the challenge. I faced that personally with one of my children that got identified with dyslexia earlier this year. So I think it's really important.
Thank you. By the way, I have a daughter who has dyslexia. She is a mechanical engineer here in Houston right now.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. That's fantastic.
Okay. The next one, and this is the last that I'm grilling you on this, and I believe it goes to OBS this time. What type of classes are available within the adult education structure of HCDE?
No, the GED classes is one that's available. I want to say GED is one that I know for certain. I don't want to say one that's not part of it and then and come back and realize, oh no, that's not there at all. But GED is one that's very important, especially right now, as people are at home, not able to work in person. Being able to get your GED, and then because there's so many jobs that require either a high school diploma or the equivalent, which is the GED, being able to get that through HCDE is an amazing program. We talk so much about young students, kids, but adults are students too. We're always learning, and being able to have the ability to overcome life's obstacles in this very specific way is a great thing, and I'm glad that HCDE does that.
Thank you. To you, Jose.
Yeah, this is definitely an important one for me as well. ESL, GED, and workforce programs. They currently serve a little over 9,000 students, adults in our community. I think it's one of the, I forgot what the percentage, 5% of total expenses for HCDE goes to this programming. And it's a lot of folks from our community. It's a lot, and I think it's just so vital to make sure that those resources are there, especially for our families that are trying to get a leg up. When we think of stabilization of the home, it's just so important and valuable to make sure that, if we could provide that opportunity to take that ladder of success for families, that stabilizes the situation in a child's home. So I'm deeply passionate about this, working in community development and getting to work for in the community for so many years, whether it's political or nonprofit. And, this is my work that I do every day to make sure we raise more awareness and create more access to these opportunities.
Thank you. The question now to you, David.
Thank you. Yes, GED, certificate and training programs. The GED, having a GED is really important, and some people may take it for granted. I have several friends who are proud to have a GED, not because like they have a piece of paper, but because of what they're able to do and provide for their families. So it's a lot deeper to it than just education is important. We all value education, so I'm sure they're proud to continue their educational journey. And not making it through high school was one thing, but being able to go back and actually accomplish that is great for them and their family. So I'm proud of them, and I think that GED is a great program.
Thank you. Okay, you survived my hot seat questions. We are now going to, and I've gotten the green light to go ahead and keep doing the 1 minute. So the next one I believe goes to Jose. If standardized testing is discontinued, how would we hold schools and school districts accountable?
I think it's working with teachers and educators and creating those systems in place. How do we evaluate what grades mean? How do we evaluate the progress of our children? For me, that would be bringing those folks to the table and building on those conversations and just reinventing it from the education. There's always the mentality of this top down coming from the state down. I think, how do we work with the local ISDs and with the county and work our system up? And I think, being able to bring those stakeholders that are practitioners are in their classrooms every day and being part of that process will create those answers and create those solutions. That's where the innovation comes from.
Thank you. The question is to you, David.
That's actually a really great question. I believe allowing the students to be creative and similar to what Jose was saying, bring the parents, the teachers, and the students together and see what ways we can better assist them. And then we can gauge on what ways we can see in their progression. But I truly believe in allowing the students to have some free time and to be creative. We don't want to clip their wings when they get in school, tell them sit still, be quiet, and do as I say. Let these children be creative. Let's see what's on their mind. And you never know, they can be the next Einstein.
Thank you. The question now to you, Obes.
Well, this comes to where you fall on achievement versus attainment. So right now we're looking at the attainment model with our standardized testing. I think we need to be moving towards the achievement model. How are you doing in school now versus when you started this school year or your academic career? That is a much better gauge of how well we're educating our students, is seeing how far we took them from where they started to where they are now. So I think that's what we need to be looking at, because each student is different. Each class is different. And then each school day is different. Every student does not need the same thing. Every teacher does not excel in teaching the same way. So if we allow teachers to be able to look at the students that they have and be able to work with those students for their specific problems to, get rid of their specific deficiencies, I think we'll see more success for the teachers, for the students, as well as for the schools.
Thank you. Okay, the next question will start with David. Do you know anything about what a district of innovation is?
A district of innovation?
Mm-hmm.
Using my context clues here, district of innovation, being innovative in the district that you reside in or the school district. That's my first time hearing this. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. This is one of my throwout questions, just to you. Okay, Obes, do you know what a district of innovation is?
You are not kidding about grilling us with these questions. I'm not 100% sure about what a district of innovation is, but we'll say that it's important to make sure that we're not staying stagnant in our schools. Make sure we're always moving forward. To make sure that we're giving our kids the latest and greatest in what's possible for education.
Thank you very much. Okay, Jose, do you know anything about what a district of innovation is?
Save us.
Yeah. I'm actually the one. I think that's 3 strikes, right? Sorry. Yeah, no. That's a new term, but what I will say is, as far as innovation, it's so important and valuable in our educational system. I see it every day in the work in our communities. Our communities are ever changing and evolving, and our children are too. And the way we deliver educational models and connections to our from in the educational system is valuable and important, and it's always changing. What worked 10, 15 years ago is not the same you're going to deliver to the kids today. I see that all the time in the programming and that I've developed over the years, and working with partners and in the community. It's ever changing, and our communities are vibrant and diverse, and it needs to innovate. It needs to evolve over time to remain relevant and reflective.
Can we get the
Thank-
answer to that? What is a district of innovation?
Yeah.
A district of innovation is a term that is used to basically give power to the superintendent and the school board to do whatever they feel they want to and not have to follow mandatory requirements on different things. That kind of gives you an idea. So
That's right. Definitely need that.
research it, yes, because there are people who fall in different categories with this. And sometimes it sounds really good, and sometimes it doesn't sound really good. There are several within the Harris County area who have them. My problem that I have with districts of innovation is it puts all the power into the superintendent and the school board's hands to decide what is best, and without asking the teachers or the parents or anybody else. So anyway,
Yeah.
so research it a little bit. It's kind of interesting. Okay.
Absolutely.
I believe I'm on OBS now. Is that correct? Yes. Okay. So this kind of falls in a little bit with that. Do you support mandatory certification for all educators? Why or why not?
So when I was watching the debate for State Board of Education, the same question was asked, and they both fell on either side. Michelle Palmer said that she supported mandatory certifications. Kimberly McLeod said that she did not. I lean towards mandating them. I don't like the system that we have in terms of forcing kids to take a standardized test to prove how much they know. But I think if we're going to have teachers be in the classroom to teach our kids, I think it's important that at some point they've proven that they know not just the curriculum, but they know the right techniques to be able to relate the information to the students, and that they know enough about how to handle sort of low-level behavioral issues and whatnot. So I do like I like the concept and the idea of mandated certifications, but we need to make sure that we keep a close eye on what it is that we're mandating that the teachers need to be certified in.
Thank you. The question is to you, Jose.
Yeah, that's a great question, and I'm leaning towards yes. I agree. I agree with much what was just said. I think there needs to be a equitable a starting point, a consistency, a quality point that where our educators, as they're coming into the school system, that they have a baseline. So I think that sounds like one of those baselines. Working with educators in the past. That's one of the things. My sister taught in Aldine ISD school, so I remember when she was getting her certification. I think it's an important process. Is there opportunities to maybe review that and seeing the efficiencies, of course, but I do think there needs to be a baseline, especially for making sure that there's a level of quality and a level of consistency, and that we're all on the same page at all. When we're sending our kids to our schools, I think that's part of the process of making sure all our schools are equitable and have the same resources and the same starting line. At least that's our inspiration, right?
Right. Thank you. Okay, David, the question is to you.
Yeah, so I think teachers should have a certification, but I just think the word mandatory just causes conflict. A lot of people don't like being told what to do. So once you put the word mandatory on it, it's like, well, why? So, but for sure, I agree. I think teachers should have a certification. Maybe we can just reword it to be a little nicer.
Thank you. Just to let you know, gentlemen, this was way back. I don't remember what year it was. All teachers across Texas were tested. It didn't matter how long you've been teaching. It didn't matter if you were brand new. It was called the TCAT test. Talk about striking fear into the hearts of all the teachers. That was something else. Anyway. Okay, I believe we're starting with Jose this time. Do you support periodic mandatory outside audits for all school districts in Harris County? Why or why not?
External audits. I do think there should be another lens when you're looking for audits. I think it's a best practice overall. I think it's important to be able to make sure that things are being done in the right manner and fashion. So I would say yes.
Okay, David, to you.
I do think that there should be a checks and balance system into play. We should build our school system based on trust. So we should also allow the ISDs or the schools opportunity to grow and invest in themselves. And if they need some support, again, HCDE is here for them. But just, you know, checking in on them periodically. And I don't know, I don't think that we should just like be in people's business like that. But for sure, if they're not doing what they're supposed to do, then of course the checks and balance system is in play. But if they're doing just great, I think we should let them be and be an example and model to the rest of the ISDs how things should be done or
Thank
could be
you.
done.
Thank you. To Obes, same question.
So I do think we need to be doing audits of our school districts, but I think it's also equally important to know who is conducting the audit, because that makes just as big a difference as the audit being done in the first place. To make sure that it's an unbiased entity doing the audit, I need to make sure that the information is publicly available, since these are taxpayer funds more often than not in our ISDs. I think it's incredibly important just because people need visibility and transparency to know, okay, I live in this school district, I'm sending my kids to these schools. What is happening with the money that we're giving them? And when schools, oftentimes we don't have the resources to have this program, or have resources for that program. Are they telling the truth? Is it just that they're overextended, or is there waste? What is happening? Do we have access to that information? I think that's great, not just for the parents to be able to have that transparency, but I think it's good for the school districts as well.
Thank you. Okay. This is kind of interesting. I believe I start with David. Okay. The Director of Education for the City of Houston, Juliet Stepech, consistently coordinates with the superintendents across Harris County. Have you ever met or interacted with Juliet Stepech?
I haven't, but I have met James Colbert, the superintendent for HCDE. He's a great guy. I look forward to sitting right alongside of him and balancing the budget and assuring that all of our students and staff have all the resources possible to succeed.
Thank you. Same question to Obes.
I have not met the Director of Education for Harris County. I'd like to. Seems like a great person. But no, I've not met the Director of Education.
Thank you. Same question to Jose.
Yes, I have met Juliet Stepech. My wife worked at the mayor's office. You know, we were supporters of hers when she was a trustee for HISD, a board member on HISD. So that I do know her. She's been an advocate for education, and definitely definitely have that resource and connection to be able to set up a time to follow up on issues and concerns. If I was afforded to be trustee, to be able to have those conversations on of what's HCDE resources are needed, or having those conversations, getting the picture and lens of the bigger picture of the county and community as a whole with this issue, with educational issues.
Thank you. Okay, before we get into the final 1 minute apiece where you get to go, thank God I'm done with all this. I just wanted to put everybody else on the spot a little bit and say, all of you, the precinct chairs, everybody needs to learn more about the way public schools are set up in Texas, because there's so much that is done by people who have no education certification whatsoever. And that includes the appointment of the Commissioner of Education. It has been almost 25 years since we've had someone serving in that position who actually has educational background. They have all been appointees with no background. And currently, the Commissioner of Education, Mike Morath, is a very big supporter of vouchers in private schools. So the other part of it is, I'll reiterate that the State Board of Education has 15 elected members, and you all mentioned one that's running here in Harris County. That board right now is very definitely controlled by Republicans who really do not have that good a knowledge on what needs to be taught in the schools, and they need to be working with that. In other words, understand that we need to have more people like Michelle Palmer and others who can be on that State Board of Education. So, okay, you survived. You are all absolutely outstanding. Thank you for stepping up and running for this position. I wish you all great luck. And we will start back at the very beginning. David, you have 1 minute to give your close, and don't forget to tell them how to contact you.
Okay, so thank you so much. David Brown, political candidate for Harris County School Trustee at Large, position 7. Facebook, David W. Brown. Instagram, at David_W_Brown. Again, I'm a health educator. I work in schools and I teach youth on how to manage their anger, avoid risky behaviors, build healthy relationships. I'm endorsed by Harris County Black American Democrats. I'm sorry, Houston Black American Democrats. Harris County, I'm stumbling over my words. I'm endorsed by Tejano Democrats, Area 5 Democrats, Harris County Young Democrats, Houston Black American Democrats. They all have endorsed me. David Brown, out of all the candidates here, I received the most votes on the primary in March. So I look forward to the precinct chairs electing me August 15th to be on the ballot in November. Again, David Brown, first generational high school and college graduate, father of 3.
Thank you. Obes.
So again, my name is Obes Bar, running for Harris County Department of Education Board Trustee. So the last 9 months I've been running for this seat. I've talked a lot about how I want to increase access to student therapy services, expand Head Start, increase the number of programs put on through CASE. But I think coronavirus has shown us that we need to look deeper than that, make sure that we're getting the right resources at the right time to our students, whether it's in the form of laptops, hotspots, or even making sure that the school grounds are a safe environment for kids that have to be on campus. These type of things that I'm thinking about, these type of ideas that I'll be bringing to the board, the Harris County Department of Education board. So I've also got a number of endorsements. David and I shared that Tejano Democrats endorsement. It's also endorsed by the Texas Coalition of Black Democrats, as well as a number of precinct chairs and the Greater Heights Democrats. I think I've shown throughout this process that I'm willing to show up anytime, anywhere, to make sure that I'm showing you guys my passion for our kids, for our students.
Thank you. I have to stop my watch there. Okay. Jose.
Well, first, thank you, Sherry, for moderating today and your long-time support of education as an educator and running. That takes strength and power, and I applaud you for that. My name's Jose Rivera. You can find me on Facebook at Jose for HCDE7. You can look it up online and you can see the endorsements I have. I've been in the race a little over a month. I've worked in this community for over 15 years, from my U of H days, TSU, to nonprofit. I started at the Mayor's Anti-Gang Office. I worked my way up, and I'm now an executive director at the Y. And throughout that time, I built authentic trust in relationships in our communities, which have led to endorsements from Harris County Commissioner Adrian Garcia, Congressman Gene Green, who I had the privilege to work for, Senator Cara Alvarado, State Representatives Ana Hernandez, Armando Wally, Christina Morales. I'm the only one currently endorsed by a current trustee on the board, Richard Cantu, and also other school board members, Connie Esparza from Aldine ISD, HCC trustee Monica Ricar Flores, and Judith Cruz on HISD board. I want to bring my experience and my vested connection and relationships to the board and make sure we take these visions to a path forward of sustainability and growth. Thank you.
Thank you. The last thing is, and this is to the precinct chairs, while you have these 3 candidates here, I'm going to let them each tell you again how to contact them and what you need to do so that you can follow up, because I have to say this is going to be a hard decision for you all to make. These are very qualified individuals who cared very deeply about the children in Harris County. And so I'll start again. I'll start with Obes. If you'll just take a moment and go through and tell them again how to contact you if they have any other questions or anything.
Thank you, Sherry. So if you have any questions about me or my campaign, feel free to go to my website, obesforhcde.com. That's obesforhcde.com. You can also email me at obesforhcde.com. It's obes@obesforhcde.com. Follow me on Facebook, facebook.com/obesforhcde. And you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram as well, obesforhcde. Again, that's obesforhcde. Consistent branding.
Jose.
Yes, my Facebook, Jose for HCDE7. And you can also email me at Jose for HCDE7@gmail.com. I've also been sending every week, every other week, blast outs to the precinct chairs with updates on the campaign as I'm getting endorsements and other conversations on the issues. I'm happy to set up a time to call and have a conversation one on one. This is going to be decided by 400 eligible voters. So this is really important that you have the time and the opportunity to have those deeper conversations and answer any questions that you have. And I'm available to have those conversations. So either on my Gmail or on Facebook, please reach out, or you can reach me directly by myself at 832-455-8409. This race is important. Our families and children are important. And, you know, I want to make sure you decide and have those conversations as you're forming your decision on your next trustee. Thank you.
And David, how can they reach out to you or get a hold of you if they need to talk?
Yes, thank you. So my email is davidbrownforhouston@gmail.com. Everything spelled out, davidbrownforhouston@gmail.com. Again, Facebook, David W. Brown. Instagram, @David_W_Brown. My cell number is 832-656-9477. Feel free to reach out anytime. I still plan on contacting each and every one of you all. So again, thank you.
And I have to say, I know all three of you will come looking for those people if they do not show up on August the 15th, because it is
to show up.
their chance to do that. I have a tiny little bit of time, so I'm going to go around and just ask a very short question, answer it in a sentence or two. I'll start with David. David, why did you decide to run for this position?
Well, I started working on myself. Like I was in a deep, like I was really down, and started working on myself, and I built myself up to invest in my community. I wanted to make a change, and I looked in the mirror and I realized that change starts with me. So I started working on myself. I went back to school, started building my family up, and then once I built myself up strong enough, I got involved in the community. I started several organizations. I had a backpack giveaway in 2018. I had one in 2019. We gave away over 1,000 backpacks and school supplies. I went back to my old high school and I bought the boys varsity basketball team basketball shoes. I hosted fundraisers to raise money to revamp a women's emergency homeless shelter. Like I want to build up the community in more ways than one. So with or without this position, I'm going to continue to invest in my community and to sacrifice for my community. This is what I've been doing prior to running for this position. And I hope I can take my talents and the wisdom that I've gained so far to HCDE. But if not, I will continue to do what I'm doing.
Okay. And he took a few more sentences, but that's okay. I'll let you off. So, go ahead.
Thank you.
Why did you decide to run?
So for me, education is deeply personal. I talk about it briefly on my website, but the reason my family's even here to begin with is because my grandfather's position as a college professor at the University of Nigeria allowed him to get his family out of the Civil War, the Biafran War in Nigeria, to the United States. So while most of our students won't have to overcome the Civil War to get to school and live their lives, I know that education can be the difference between life and death and hope and despair. Something that's been passed down to the generations in my family. It's a lesson that I want to pass on to the students in Harris County, that getting a good education can make all the difference for you. It's made all the difference for me.
Thank you. Jose, why did you decide to run?
I decided after, I've dedicated my career to the community and working and investing my time in the community through different capacities, whether it's been through nonprofit or getting the amazing experience to work with Congressman Gene Green and get a 5-year firsthand perspective of what that looks like. For me, it's like the others have shared, it's deeply personal, right? For me, I was one of those kids when we came to the States from Puerto Rico. I only spoke Spanish, and you got labeled in stigma right away. No resources, no support system. And that really, I set a trajectory until I was in college, and some, different mentors and forces intervened that gave me an opportunity to grow and evolve to the person I am today. And I want to make sure that's accessible and there for our kids. And I want my boys to aspire, my 2 boys to aspire, higher than I am doing, just like my wife has dedicated her life to career public service. And, that's just where the passion is. That's where my love for community is. And through the support and feedback from some folks in the community, it got me in the race. I've been behind the scenes, so I'm an action oriented person. I problem solve, and I just want to bring that to the table as a trustee, and look forward to the opportunity of August 15th to be considered and to be the next trustee in the fall, the nominee for the fall. So just excited about that. And then really quick, it's my son's birthday. He turned 8 today. So I want to give a shout out to Dominic Rivera. Love you, and just want to appreciate everyone on this forum tonight. It takes courage and commitment to put yourself out there, and I've had a great time today. So thanks.
Thank you. No matter what happens on August the 15th, I would encourage all three of you to continue doing what you were doing to help the students all across Harris County. So we have now brought our HCDE forum to an end.
Thank you.
Thanks, y'all.
So I believe I'm going to just remind you again, August the 15th, we need a quorum at the HCD for both HCDE and for the county clerk position. It is very, very important that we do this so that we can hold these positions and go forward with them. We must have all of the precinct chairs there so that we can absolutely take care of this and keep it in Democratic hands for both of them. Hello, Jonathan.
Hello. Thank you, Sherry, so much for that very long and informative forum with our Harris County Department of Education trustee.
Thank you. And I'm signing off and handing it over to you. So
thank you so much. This is going to be short. We're closing it up. Hello, everyone. My name is Jonathan Miller. I'm the Senate District 15 Chair, and I have the honor to represent all 8 Senate District Chairs: Fort McKnight, Yolanda Alvarado, Angela Williams, Don Hill, Paula Bowden, Lisa Garrett, and Dwight Ford. We wish to thank everyone for attending. We'd also like to reach out a special thank you to HCDP, to the staff, JL, Alex, DJ, Lily, and Benjamin, for helping us put this on. We also like to thank all the candidates and the moderators, Jaime and Sherry, for putting on a great forum. This video will be posted so every precinct chair can see and make an informed decision before the August 15th precinct caucus. This is a major responsibility we have to select the best candidate for November, but they also need to represent the Democratic Party. On August 15th, we will have our precinct caucus where we need to have 50% quorum of all elected precinct chairs there. Otherwise, we give the Republicans the opportunity to take these seats without a Democratic nominee. Our Senate District Chairs and HCDP will be reaching out in the next few days and weeks to make sure that everyone is informed of when this event is and how to attend. This will be a virtual event as well. And if you look in the comments on Facebook, there will be links there as well. Once again, we thank you for this. We have to keep Harris County blue, and we need to do our part to flip Texas blue. And that means getting Dems to vote in every race on November from top to bottom, including these 2 important positions. Thank you so much for your time and your afternoon, and we'll be in contact with you very shortly. Thank you, everybody.